When it comes to professional sports, when we think of the greatest athletes of all time, specifically in basketball, the first name that pops in our head is Michael Jordan. The younger generation may say LeBron James. Then you have bits and pieces of each generation that feels that Kobe Bryant is the greatest basketball player of all time. But guess who doesn't believe that or agree with it at all whatsoever? That would be Dr. Umar Johnson. See, Dr. Umar Johnson truly believes that Larry Bird is the greatest basketball player of all time. Now it's hard to believe that Dr. Umar Johnson would say something like that, especially with everything that he preaches on a regular basis. But this didn't literally come out of his mouth, the fact that he believes Larry Bird is the greatest of all time. This didn't actually come out of his mouth. But his logic said this. What's up, people? Welcome back to 50BM. Make sure you hit that like and sub button. At the end, if you feel like the video was informal or even entertaining, please don't hesitate to share. Let's get into it.
Yes.
Can't be the GOAT because he's white is what you
Eminem
said.
cannot be the GOAT because he's white. First of all, my perspective on this issue is not about Eminem. I got to make this clear. It could be anybody. You follow what I'm saying? You could put Macklemore in the conversation or MC Search. No Caucasian, Arab, East Indian, European, Jew, Latino, no non-African can be the best of anything that is African because that is our culture and you never relinquish control over your culture. So he could be a great lyricist. If they were to say he's one of the best lyricists of all time, they can say that if they want, but you ain't no GOAT. You don't put a white person over something that we created that has roots going all the way back to ancient Kemet, and you're going to give that over to a Caucasian. That's not fair. You do not do that. There's too many black MCs who are better than Eminem lyrically, who, if you're going to go GOAT status, you need to consider. But Eminem, and a lot of them who are saying this are only saying this because they're hoping Eminem throw them some money, throw them a cameo. I don't think they're really speaking out of their truth. I think they're speaking out of their desperation to get put on by Eminem.
Dr. James Naismith, who was the creator of basketball. Mr. Walter Chauncey Camp, who was the inventor or creator of football. Then you have Mr. Alexander Cartwright, who was the inventor or creator of baseball. Now, you may be wondering why I chose to point these three gentlemen out. Hell, I didn't know anything about them until I researched about 30 minutes ago. But here we are. There's two common denominators that all three of these gentlemen have. The first one, they all invented sports, some type of sport that went from something small, minuscule, to something major today. That's one. The second thing that they all have in common is, guess what? Think about it. You thought about it? That's right. They're all white men. So let's say you're sitting in the barbershop. Back when, where there wasn't an app that you schedule your haircut appointments on, you had to sit there and wait. Picture yourself in that setting. And the topic of who's the greatest NFL player of all time comes up. Now, many of us, especially in our demographic, would most likely run with players such as Lawrence Taylor, Deion Sanders, Coach Prime, Jerry Rice, Jesus and cleats. But hold your horses. This may not be true, because in Dr. Umar Johnson's eyes, none of these individuals can ever even be mentioned as the GOAT of the NFL and football. Now, place yourself back in that same environment, same place, same people that you're sitting around debating with, and the topic of who's the greatest basketball player of all time comes up. Most people in this specific demographic would start obviously with Michael Jordan. Someone may say, some of them may feel that LeBron is greater. And then you also have a few that believe Kobe was neck and neck with Jordan. But guess what? Dr. Umar Johnson would have to disagree with you. And using his logic, these three gentlemen shouldn't even be mentioned at the top of anything of basketball, much less the GOAT. And you don't have to believe me. I don't expect anyone to just take my word for anything and not be smart enough to do their own research. But to prevent you from having to do your own research, I decided to bring the fact to you. Listen up.
A white person should have the right to rap, but they should not have a place in our category.
He cannot be considered in the pantheon of greatness.
Right.
Because this is an African cultural product, right?
Right.
And there it is. Now, if you came here to see or hear Dr. Umar Johnson literally say that Larry Bird was the GOAT, I'm sorry, he didn't literally say it. But as you listen, you can hear the first clip that I played and the second clip that I played. His logic says that he believes Larry Bird is the greatest of all time. Because amongst the white people in NBA history, or white players in NBA history, he's the greatest out of all of them. And since you state that anything that's created by Africans or African Americans, no one outside the culture can ever be the greatest of said product. Do you agree or disagree? Now, I don't agree with it at all. And one thing that I've noticed when it comes to us, we'll have a lot of double standards. For instance, we'll get upset at a white person if they call us the N-word or have any actions directed towards us that may be perceived as racist. There'll be a major issue. Then we'll go back around and do the same exact thing, just different verbiage. We'll do the same exact thing and believe that it's okay and we have every right to do it. Now, will Dr. Umar Johnson actually agree with if you're saying that a person can't be the greatest if they're not a part of the culture or of the culture, then you would actually have to use that towards basketball. So do you actually believe that Dr. Umar Johnson would ever admit that Larry Bird is greater than Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, and LeBron James? I'm pretty sure we wouldn't have to ever worry about hearing him say something like that. But by his logic, he should believe that. So let's take this back to Eminem. Now, when it comes to Eminem, he's been having to deal with the black community saying these type of things about him being a rapper. He's been dealing with this especially since social media got popping. I've heard that more and more. The first person I heard it was from Lord Jamar. Now this person is saying it. And it makes me wonder why. Now, humbly, I never witnessed Eminem rapping in a music video or in concert acting quote unquote black. Now, the first thing Dr. Umar Johnson should have asked when acting black came up in a question, he should have asked him, well, what does acting black mean? Because when we say acting black, it normally has something to do with doing something stupid, not using more words than four-letter words. Basically watering and dumbing yourself down to mimic the black stereotype. Now, there has been plenty of white rappers that have done this. Vanilla Ice, Bubba Sparks, Paul Wall. How does Eminem conduct himself or carry himself the same exact way as them or anywhere close? No. Not at all. So to say that he's a culture vulture because he's trying to act black, that's a flat out lie. Let's remember, his first single was My Name Is. Now, let me ask you this. Have you ever, well, except for Hobson, have you ever witnessed a black rapper with a song like that or a music video like that? You haven't, because the truth of the matter is, one part of someone quote unquote acting black, if Eminem was trying to act black, he wouldn't rap about what he rapped about, because that wouldn't be acting black. So even though he's a white man that came into an industry that was created by black people, he didn't bite off anyone's style. There's no one that has the same style, subject matter, and ability that Eminem has brought into this industry. Now, he's already admitted that he knows he's a guest in the house of hip hop. He already admitted that. You don't run around hearing him saying that he's the GOAT. The truth of the matter is that, yes, he has a lot of white fans that's probably saying that and pushing that narrative. But there's a whole bunch of black fans that just are ashamed to admit that they're an Eminem fan. And I believe that for the most part, he's able to stay relevant or have that much of a strong fan base still is because he's totally different from the average rapper in history. Because there's no other rapper that brings the same thing that he brings. So all the stuff about acting black and a white person can't be considered the GOAT when it comes to hip hop, it's crazy. And if you truly believe that, you have to stick to that in every aspect of your life. Not just because it's convenient to say that when we're speaking of a white person coming into an industry created by black people and dominating. So, if you're one of the people that actually agree with this specific narrative that Dr. Umar Johnson has been pushing, if you agree with it, you can't just agree with it in one aspect of your life. Anything that a white person has invented, using that same logic means that you'll never believe that a black person can be the best at damn near anything in this country. So let's not just use that narrative when it is convenient and benefits us. If you believe it, believe it. Across the board. Don't half step. Stand 10 toes down. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section. Hit the like and subscribe. 50 BM till next time I'm out.